And from WMNF in Tampa, this is True Talk with your hosts, Ahmed and Samar. Today, we're, of course, going to be speaking about the war on Iran and what does it mean for the United States. When is it going to actually end? Does anybody know? Is there any way America can even win this war? And what's even the objective? And if we have time, also maybe get some of your phone calls. It is Ramadan, and maybe the last week is supposed to end a week from today, the final week of Ramadan. Muslims have been fasting for the past 3 weeks. We'll talk about that as well, Samar and I. We'll be right back. This is True Talk on WMNF. سلم لي عالحبيبة عايش بالناس غريبة مش عارف وكري وين الو الو يا عمري وينك الو يا شبابي وينك الو يا الغالي وين الو سلم لي عالحبيبة عايش بالناس غريبة مش عارف وكري وين الو يا حبيبتي نعرف اللي طالت غيبتي الايام ضحكوا على شيبتي وشيبه ولا تشيبه ما حبوا طيبتي بس تستنى في خيبتي ولا رنبة طلعت ذيبتي وشوفنا منهم خيبه الو يا الغاليه شلز شباب على ايطاليا البحر وامواج والعاليه وغرقين وغرقات وحمام وجالية ذات يميني وشمالية وفكري كان في المالية الوحش كبر يا الأخوات الو يا عمري وينك الو يا شبابي وينك الو يا الغالي وين الو سلم لي عالحبيبة عايش بالناس غريبة مش عارف وكري وين. And this is Ahmed and Samar on True Talk on WMNF. The war in Iran seems like history is repeating itself. It's not that long ago, even though it's been long ago, that America invaded Iraq. And 22, 23 years later, I don't know. I can't say that America won that war. Just like I can't say that America won the war in Afghanistan. I'm not really sure what war America has won. America lost the Vietnam War. America lost in Somalia. They were forced to leave there. I'm not sure when in modern history America actually won a war, or that war actually made the difference or made us any safer. People are saying, that the war, some people are saying, this war is, to make America feel, to save Americans in the future. So before Iran attacks us, I'm not sure. I'm not buying that. I don't think that's true. So Samar.
Assalamu alaikum, Ahmed, and hello to our listeners, and Ramadan Kareem to all those who are fasting. Ahmed, why on earth would Iran even think of invading America or hurting American interests? All this happened when the Shah of Iran, who was a brutal authoritarian dictator, was overthrown by a popular uprising by 5 different political background of people, because I did my master's at USF, and one of the interesting courses I took was about the Iranian Revolution by an Iranian who ended up in the US and teaching at USF. So I know a little bit of the background. The major really players of the overthrowing of the Shah were the Communist Party known as Tudeh, democratic parties, and many other parties that were extremely political, no religious affiliation. Maybe one of them was slightly politically Islamist, but the smallest, the narrowest a group of people who went also to the streets were the ones who followed Khomeini and his teachings. And the only reason that they eventually became the rulers of Iran is because this revolution had no leadership. And he was the only figure that could have been the leader of this mass revolution against the old regime. And the minute, of course, it turned out that this new era in Iran is going to be have some Islamic tone into it. Everybody went against the revolution because they thought it will spill over to the Arab countries and especially to the Gulf region, and that's when the U.S. miscalculated because uh, nobody really realized that no, it's not going to spill over. This is a different type of Islam, a Shia Islam, that is really ruled by the influence of the ulama of the mosques. And in Sunni Islam, the ulama of the mosques are assigned by the governments. But they decided that Iran is going to be the enemy. And for 47 years, we have been fighting them and bombing them,
Who's we?
the US and the West. And we sent Saddam Hussein into an endless war, a zero-sum war with Iran for what, 9 years, was it? 7 years? 1 million people died from Iran and 1 million people died from the Iraqi side. So I don't see
That's by design. I think all these wars between Muslim countries, the beneficiary at the end is Israel, and a lot of times these spy agencies and others, they foment and push these types of wars. That's why Israel and even the United States didn't have a problem with the civil war that was happening in Syria next door. They didn't, they allowed Bashar al-Assad to continue even though there was a red line, and there's, mention that some Al-Qaeda forces were being supported by Israel and the United States. There's even people on record that said, like government officials, American diplomats that said, yeah, from time to time the U.S. would engage and support Al-Qaeda forces or groups like that, terrorist groups, if they could cause havoc in those countries. As long as there's chaos and turmoil, and those states end up being, breaking up. For example, Iraq, now you have 3 different regions. Syria, they're trying to unite it, but it's split up. This has been for a long time that, these fragmented states is what Israel and some people in the foreign policy establishment in America have been pushing for years. Do you remember when Condoleezza Rice talked about the new Middle East? Or, and that's what it is. The new Middle East is these smaller states that are fragmented, that are weaker, that can't be seen as a threat to Israel's expansion ambitions. It's not, in my opinion, that they're actually a threat to Israel, but they're a threat to Israel's goals of taking their land. So they're getting in the way. Israel and a lot of elements, especially now you hear more and more about it within Israel, that they want to have this what's called Greater Israel Project, where their footprint, their land is not just to the area that they're contained in now, but rather all the way to Iraq and to Egypt and parts of what is now Saudi and parts of Lebanon and Syria and Jordan. All of that would be inside what's called Greater Israel. They believe that this is their promised land, and not just the Holy Land part, but all those other countries. And obviously, if those countries have formidable militaries and they're strong nations with, armies and military equipment and things, they will not be able, they can't just walk in, and take over that much land. However, if those places, those countries split up into smaller nations, smaller groups, then they're weaker, then they're easier to conquer. I don't know if you agree with that, and do you buy into this project or ambition of the Greater Israel that many of them are pushing for?
I don't buy it, of course, because it means this is settler colonialism.
When I
Continue.
mean buy it, do you believe that that's a goal or intention of some of them
I
in
mean,
Israel?
it's not a matter of me believing, it's a matter of me listening to what they say on their own media, like Netanyahu mentioned it. Show the official maps actually when he is speaking sometimes to the Israeli audience, the map that is projected, and even the map that he used during one of the UN speeches, General Assembly, had the map that indicated that Jordan was part of Greater Israel. So, I mean, it is what they keep saying, this biblical messianic type of mixing politics with God and what they think God said. But it is a taboo for Muslims to invoke God and talk about God. But
The funny thing is that these people that keep invoking God in Israel, including Netanyahu, they are not religious. They are secular. And the founders of the state of Israel were atheists. They did not believe in God, but they're using the rhetoric over and over. There are religious groups within Israel. There are Hasidic, Jewish groups. There are religious communities. A lot of the Hasidic religious Jewish communities actually oppose the state of Israel because they believe that the state cannot be established before the return of or before the arrival of their Messiah, because they don't believe that the Messiah actually came. So the weird thing that, and I don't know if you notice it as well, that many of their leaders and their definitely founders were atheists. However, they invoke religion and God's promise in the Old Testament all the time.
Yes, Ahmed, they keep invoking these things. And maybe actually, yeah, like if you look at what is happening now in Lebanon, there is a full-fledged war going on in Lebanon. And please, to our listeners, if in case you are not following Lebanon, Israel has been bombing South Lebanon for the past 6 months at least. Every day there is a raid. Before Iran started throwing bombs at Israel or Hezbollah. It has been going on, and people say, Ahmed, that this is part of their intention for occupying the southern Lebanon and moving into the idea of a greater Israel, because they already took parts of Syria, the Golan Heights, and more areas surrounding it. So they say they are very slowly moving towards that. And what we see today and what they thought could have happened with the war on Iran, that it would have accelerated this pace. But I'm not sure if they miscalculated or didn't know that Iran has been getting ready for this for the past 47 years or what. Uh, um, but it seems that their plan for a greater Israel is on hold, except in Lebanon, Ahmed. They are now moving into bombing the heart of Beirut, the capital. And there is an area and a neighborhood called the Dahia, where mainly Shia live there, Lebanese Shia live there. And these people were given a warning by Israel that we're going to flatten it. And so they moved to the beach area on the Mediterranean. And yesterday they bombed the beach. So every day there is murder, war crimes happening, and you switch on our mainstream media, there is nothing, Ahmed. There is nothing. I mean, without some social media that still has a bit of freedom, and without programs like Democracy Now, our show, and some left-leaning media sources, people would not know that there is a massacre going on in Lebanon every day we speak. And every day, these pilots, when they leaving Lebanon, they drop a few bombs on Gaza. Yesterday, they bombed a market in Gaza. Like, why? I thought the war was over. I thought there was a peace council or whatever they call it. And I thought they had agreement with Hamas, and now they moved to phase two. Since this war on Iran started, they have blocked all aid to Gaza.
Are
Two
you
million
referring to
people.
the Board of Peace that Trump
Yeah,
is the chair
yeah,
for life?
yeah. And the first decision they do is launch a war on Iran. That they don't want to call it a war. Somebody told Trump that it's called incursion, like a
Oh,
scrim.
incursion. Okay.
So yesterday he was talking to some channel in, I don't know where he was speaking, and he said it's an excursion. And I'm thinking, is he on vacation, or is this a segue from his planned trip? And I finally realized that no, they told him to call it incursion, but with his limited ability of linguistic skills, he said excursion. Oh my God, I can't believe that.
Summer, you're making fun of the president. Come on.
Yes, of
He's
course.
gonna be he's the king. He's gonna be the monarch soon.
Yeah, oh my God. I really can't believe that we are living this. I
We
mean,
are living it. I mean, America. When did you arrive to the United States?
89, December 30th.
Well, I don't need to know the exact date, but
No, I remember
since
because,
1980,
no, you know
yeah.
why I remember? I will never
Why?
forget this day because it was just a day or two before New Year's Eve. So I went to a party for New Year's Eve to meet all my husband's
Astaghfirullah.
friends. Okay. So I was standing next to a woman, Ahmed, and after turns out she's my neighbor. So she says, "Hi, we're talking." And after 3, 4 minutes, she says, "When did you arrive?" And I told her on the 30th, like 2 days. And she says, "Oh my God, and you learned English in 48 hours?" So I will
She
never.
assumed you did not know English before
Yeah.
you came.
Yes, that how could I be so fluent in English? So I looked at her and I was thinking, okay, this is a joke. Am I supposed to like smile or laugh?
And you learned English in
And
2 days?
oh my God, and you learned English in 48 hours? So I will never forget when I arrived to America because that was like the most shocking thing that happened to me. Oh my,
Um,
yeah.
is she still your neighbor?
She's my best friend actually. No, she's not my neighbor anymore.
Did
But
you tell her, hey, I learned English? Eventually, she felt silly.
yeah, I mean, she's like, oh my gosh, you speak three
So that
languages.
became your best friend.
Yes, she's a very lovely, nice person. There's nothing wrong.
Why is she so naive?
That's the stereotype of Arab women, and I mean, at that time, Islam was very popular because we had the war in Afghanistan, or we were supporting the Mujahideen in Afghanistan. That's before the collapse of the Soviet Union. I feel
Summer,
so.
you have to qualify instead of just we. You have to say who, because people
The
are going to
U.S.
listen and they just tune in and they're going to think that you, Summer, were supporting the Mujahideen.
The U.S. I am an American citizen, so I
Did
could
you
say
support the Mujahideen in Afghanistan?
yes. I think when I was younger,
You
because
did? No, I thought I was just being sarcastic. I didn't
no,
think
I
you ever.
swear
How
to
would
God,
you?
yes.
You went and joined them or what? Come on, this can get you in trouble here.
Yeah, Ahmed. I was studying at the American University in Cairo.
Okay.
And once you enter the university, there are two entrances because it's a gate. It's a small, exclusive kind of university, private.
In
So it
Cairo, Egypt.
yeah, yes, it had two entrances. So at the two entrances, there are security unarmed, and the first thing they have is a box to support the Mujahideen in Afghanistan.
Oh, it was an American university collecting money for fighters in Afghanistan against the
Yes,
Soviets.
yes.
This was American policy back then. American policy
Yeah.
at the time was that they were funding the Afghan fighters against the Soviets, the
Right.
communist Soviets, and these Afghan fighters later became the Taliban and Al Qaeda. Then America went back to bomb and tried to
Actually,
occupy for 20 years, only to give Afghanistan back to the same people 20 years later, but after spending hundreds of billions or trillions of dollars.
there was active recruitment of young people from Egypt and the rest of the Gulf region. And this is how Osama bin Laden ended up in Afghanistan, because there was I am a witness to active recruiting to young people to go and to defend Islam from the great Satan, the the atheist Soviet Union.
But that was all done in collaboration with the U.S. government.
Yes, of course, and Arab countries too, Arab governments.
And Saddam Hussein was also funded by the U.S. government and was given all those weapons, including chemical weapons that were used on Iran.
In Halab.
As well, later it was used against the Kurds when they did an uprising after the first Gulf War. A lot of these, what people call blowback, are what's happening in the Middle East now is a result of all this blowback and bad policies in the region by short-sighted human beings that somehow think that they can, meddle and overthrow and do all this chaos and kill people there, and that there's not going to be any consequences. I mean, if you look at the images of the strikes in Iran, and I often say this, that I'm not a supporter of the Iran government or their leadership. I think they've done some bad things especially in Syria. However, they are not a threat to the United States. They're not a threat to me here. They're not a threat to America. We shouldn't be sending all this money there. But guess what? When you bomb their people like we're doing now, and one of the first strikes is to bomb a school, a girls' school, killing 175 young girls that are school children, that's going to create a lot of anger. That's going to create hatred. Not hatred because America is white or America is Christian or America is not Muslim. It's because it's human nature to dislike the people that kill your children when you're bombing their neighborhoods. So imagine if people were bombing us here in America and bombing our towns and launching strikes. I don't even know when that happened. When did it happen? Has anybody ever actually done an air strike on the United States? Of course, I'm not talking about terrorist activities like 9/11, but I'm talking about real,
It was in
planes
Hawaii.
flying. Oh, in
Pearl
Hawaii, yeah, Pearl Harbor. But I'm saying the mainland. I don't think so. And Pearl Harbor was a military base. But they're striking cities, communities, apartment buildings, electric grids, diesel, water plants. This is that's crazy. And if that happened here, imagine the chaos we would have in America. So it's actually, and then the attacks that they're doing now, they are responding and retaliating by hitting, American bases that are throughout the Middle East. A lot of times we're hearing that they're attacking all these Arab and Muslim neighbor countries, but they keep clarifying, well, we're attacking those countries, we're attacking the military bases in those countries, and because that's where America has bases, and America's launching a war at us, and they have to respond. But there is evidence, of course, that they've also attacked, that Iran has attacked airports in Dubai and other sensitive infrastructure. But in some other cases where attacks have happened in other countries like Azerbaijan and some other neighboring countries where Iran had said that's not us, those drone attacks is someone else. So there's, in the fog of war, a lot of things could happen where it, for example, an attack on Azerbaijan, and then they try to blame it on Iran so they can get more people into the fight, and it could end up being really Mossad or the Israelis, right?
Yes, and actually there was an announcement by an Israeli channel that Iran bombed some place in Saudi Arabia, which was not part of, like you said, bases. I can't remember what was it. I think it might have been close to an oil field, and expecting Saudi Arabia will retaliate. And immediately Iran contacted the Saudis and went also public and said, no, we did not do that. You'd better check who did it. And it turns out that Israel did it. So they're trying to drag the Gulf region into a war with Iran, which really would create major chaos, which is whoever is planning these things has no background in the region, does not understand geography or topography. Like people thinking, okay, we should send the boots on the ground. Have you guys looked at the topography of Iran? Do you know how rugged and mountainous, and how difficult it is, how vast it is, how big it is? How much populated it is. But Ahmed, I want to really mention one particular person who publicly says we should move everything to Israel. I am Israel first, and that's Lindsey Graham. And he's the guy who is lecturing Saudi Arabia and lecturing the Gulf region and telling them, why aren't you part of this war? I mean, what do they
Mm-hmm.
expect? Like, what do they expect? They want a civil war. They want more chaos in the region. I mean, look at the Strait of Hormuz. I'm not sure if it's 100% closed or there are still some ships that can go through, but we have not even seen the effects of this war on us economically. I mean, we can see it in the stock market and in the gas stations, but there are other things that are tied to higher prices of oil, like transportation and transporting goods and services, especially food. Food is already so expensive, Ahmed, here in the US. My brother was in Cairo for a couple of months, and then he came back and went grocery shopping, and he said, "I'm really surprised." He says, "I'm really trying to manage what I buy," and he said, "I never thought of doing this." So these people who are promoting going to further conflict, like Lindsey Graham, these people have no conscience, Ahmed. They don't care about the rest of the people and the average Joe in this country. What do you think of him when he talks so aggressively uh, about encouraging Arabs to bomb Iran? I mean, Iran can wipe these Gulf nations in a few hours.
Yeah, I mean, it's easier for Lindsey Graham, who doesn't have any kids, to say that go bomb, and he wants all these people to go to war. And he's even saying that he wants to go to South Carolina and and urge uh, young people to sign up to go to war. But yeah, it's bizarre that so many of these lawmakers sound like they're Israel first. That they don't have a regard of what's best in the American, for the United States, and definitely going to war, and using all this money to bomb Iran is not helpful for the United States,
I'm really very
and for our
depressed.
interest. You said you're worried.
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, I am totally on Twitter or X, and I see what people are saying, but there is a level of uh, awakening. And if you look at the polls, Ahmed, you see that 25% of the whoever being polled are supportive of the war, but the majority of the people are not. And you have the average Joe who is against the war. I mean, every day you can listen to hundreds and hundreds of people expressing like, I voted for Trump, but I regret it. I thought we're never gonna go to war again, but it seems that we are the forever war country. But you have even people on the right and people from MAGA saying that, not that I like them or think of them, highly think of them, like Megan Kelly, her name, um, and Ingrid, the other woman, or Marjorie, or Tucker Carlson. All of them, Ahmed, are either criticizing and condemning the bombing of the school, which happened actually twice. They bombed it, and 45 minutes later, when people came to rescue them, they bombed it again with tomahawks. That only America has tomahawks.
But when Trump was questioned about it, he said, "Oh, I think other countries have it." And first he said that Iran bombed their own school, which sounded a lot very familiar to remember when Al Shifa Hospital was bombed by Israel, and the Israelis made the same thing. Oh, Hamas bombed their own hospital. So Trump was saying, "Oh, I think Iran did it." And then when pressed to say, "Well, this was done by a tomahawk, and only the United States and even Israel doesn't have that, I guess." And he said, "No, other people have it. Could have been someone else." And then he was questioned again because some reporters, when they were on an airplane, and they asked Pete Hegseth about the same thing, and he did not confirm what Trump was saying. And Trump was asked again that Pete Hegseth himself did not back him up. And, and then he says, "I don't know a whole lot about it." But I wanted to play this clip of Senator Graham that was on Fox News from a day or two ago, and just listen how crazy, how he's such, a loyal champion of. You'd think that he's a senator for Israel, not the United States. It's just here it is.
Have been down that road before. To our friends in Israel, God bless you. I'm with you in every way. To all the anti-Seminites, to all the isolationists, I don't believe. Forget it. I'm not with you. I'm with Israel. I will be with Israel to our dying day. They're the best ally we could hope for. Finally, to my friends in Saudi Arabia.
I disagree.
So this is a clip.
Seminole?
He mispronounced that one. And then, he's telling our friends in Saudi Arabia. Let me find that clip as well. I'll play it. But he's just...
like, I don't know what happened to this guy. I remember him before when...
He was always kind of pro-war. I don't know.
Yes, but in 2016, when Trump first decided he's going to run for office, he said he was so against him and said the worst things about him. And he said, this guy is going to destroy America. And look at him now. Amazing. Just amazing.
Well, Marco Rubio said the same thing. They were all against Trump until, they were, now they're all behind him, which just tells you that how politicians are not, principled in many ways. But it's just, you would think, this is such an unpopular war. They're going through with it anyway. Even Trump's own advisors are trying to find an exit ramp because you see that the price of oil has skyrocketed. I don't know if you've tried to pump, gas recently. Some cars say that minimum that you have to, put in is like 91 octane or whatever. And when I was at the gas station, the price was like almost $5. Wow. It was crazy. Maybe because I was on the highway or something, out of town. But it was in Florida, and it was that high. And I was just like, it was kind of a sticker shock that how did it jump up so fast? And that's even before. That's when the oil was at 90. And now it's, again, around 100. That's going to have an impact. You can't sustain that too long because it impacts the global economy, not just what's happening over there. And I think that's the strategy of Iran, to make it more and more difficult for the global economy. And they're saying, well, we're not going to provide the people bombing us with the oil so they can bomb us some more.
Exactly. And then I think yesterday they hit two oil tankers in the near Iraq, in the where I can't remember the area in particular. So as I told you, I think last week, or I'm not sure who I said it to, but the insurance companies, they don't want to insure these big tankers. And I think Trump addressed them and wanted people to take a chance and go. I don't think these people understand economics. And what about this thing when he said that I went to war because Jared and Witikoff and Rubio told me to? This is, I mean, if Obama was saying these things, or if even Biden was saying these things, there would be an uproar, a discussion. But
but there's no reaction now when it's said. It just seems like, I don't know if the media is timid or they're afraid or the uproar is not there. I got
lives. They dox people and put their names and their families. They destroy people when they want to.
They do.
Like the Republican Party, the hardcore. And Trump himself, he would go to Truth Social and berate any person that goes against him.
Here's more of Lindsey Graham.
Nuclear power. They want a bomb to purify Islam, to destroy the state of Israel, and come after us. They're religious Nazis, and Donald Trump proved that point. To Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner, God bless you. You missed the most important thing said on your show. They admitted to Steve, the Iranians, they had 430 kilograms of highly enriched uranium at 60%. It would take less than a month to go to 90%, enough to make 11 bombs. So on your show, it was disclosed that the Iranians admitted to Steve Witkoff, we have enough highly enriched uranium to make 11 nuclear bombs. We literally dodged a nuclear bullet. If President Trump had not...
Do you see this? Do you hear this kind of madness? They dodged a nuclear bullet. I mean, this is, Netanyahu has been saying they're weeks away, they're months away, they're so close from getting a bomb for the past 40 years. And now he's saying that, they were days away, we dodged a nuclear bullet. When was Iran going to ever attack the United States with nuclear weapons? The amount of lying that they keep repeating, the amount of propaganda to try to justify this war. And it's just shocking that somebody like him can go on national television and just keep repeating these lies over and over to justify the murder and attacks of so many innocent people in Iran. Like these schoolgirls, all for the benefit. It's very obvious at this point. And I think, in the hours after the first bombs happened, the first strikes, when Marco Rubio was pressed, why did you attack? Why now? And then he admits it's really because of Israel. Israel dragged us into it because Israel said that they're going to do it anyway. And we have to get in because American assets will be at risk, American bases. And that's how Netanyahu convinced Trump to join in. Now, when people started saying, oh, so it's because of Israel, then they started trying to backtrack it. But so far, none of their other explanations made sense at all.
And at one point, Trump said that, not maybe he personally, but he leaked it to newspapers at the beginning, after the fiasco of Rubio blaming Israel. He said, well, Saudi Arabia wanted me to do it, and Saudi Arabia came out.
And that's the other thing, on Rachel Maddow, we've seen it on a couple of outlets where they did these segments. One of them is Rachel Maddow.
Yeah.
Huge shame that she went down this. She basically gave a 20-minute monologue about following the money, why Trump is doing this war. And she basically at the end said that her whole conclusion is that these Gulf countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, they're renting the United States military to destroy their enemy, Iran, their adversary, for their own profits, which is ridiculous. Did not mention Israel at all.
Yes.
Even though it's been basically Israel that's actually, Israel's part of the bombing. Israel's actually doing the bombing. And you're saying like they didn't mention Israel. So how is it? Are they also renting the Israeli military? Come on now.
Yeah, and the point is, Ahmed, the Gulf region, that's their bread and butter, selling oil, and they're losing so much money on a daily basis. But I want to go back to the segment you played. Why on earth?
I have more of it, by the way.
Yeah, just two things. Why on earth are we sending real estate agents to go and negotiate about very complex issues like
yeah, Whitakoff and Jared Kushner, and trusting that you remember, right? Do you remember the night of the attacks, like hours before the strikes took place, the ambassador or the foreign minister of Oman. Oman was basically the third party that was facilitating the negotiations between Iran and the United States, and Jared and Steve Whitakoff, Jared Kushner, Steve Whitakoff were meeting with their Iranian counterparts. And Oman, the country, it's a country called Oman, in Arabic it's Oman, they were doing like the facilitating negotiation. The foreign minister felt that the deal was so close, but it was fragile or something was off. He flew all the way to the United States and went on American media and basically said that Iran agreed to all the demands. They even agreed to ship out all their enriched uranium, not stockpile anything. And by not stockpiling any of the enriched uranium, you cannot make a bomb without stockpiles. The most intrusive, audits, and to have people actually on the ground to make sure that they're not building nuclear bomb. They agreed to all those terms, and despite all that, they attacked him anyway. So he was saying that the deal was so close, and it seems like this whole deal, Israel wanted to sabotage the deal. Do you remember it was the same thing when a deal was so close to reach a ceasefire deal in Gaza, Netanyahu would do something crazy like recall the negotiators from Egypt, or carry out some bombing, or assassinate one of their leaders in Iran, or something to throw off the deal. Because the last thing that Netanyahu wants is some sort of peace. Because if you have a peace deal, if you have a ceasefire, that means his campaign is over. Some people were saying that he was dragging it on because there'll be accountability for October 7th. And by the way, after the ceasefire in Gaza happened, people were calling for accountability and for an investigation. What happened October 7th? Was there a stand-down order? How did they carry out all of this for hours without any type of resistance or without any type of interference from the Israeli military, when it takes like 15 minutes to fly a helicopter from Tel Aviv to the border? How is it that, the military didn't show up for, 6, 7, 8 hours while, Hamas and other operatives breached Israel? So they want an investigation, and until now, Netanyahu is refusing to do that investigation of what happened October 7th, and putting a lot of restrictions around if an investigation took place, what they could actually investigate. Only investigate things after October 7th or within 2 days before October 7th, some weird things. So this is just another way that, for Netanyahu to stay in power, but also for Israel to carry out its imperial ambitions of disrupting and destroying their neighbors. Maybe for Trump and people in the United States to distract from the Epstein files, because now America's at war, and everybody sees that. Somehow this could be a form of distraction, so people could stop asking about Epstein.
I want to go back, Ahmed, to one thing he said, very quickly. He said it in the segment you played. Len says, "Purify Islam."
Yeah. What is he's gonna?
What does that even mean?
Purify Islam? What you mean by completely eliminating it?
No, he said when he was talking that it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
going to use the bomb against us and purify Islam. What does that even mean?
Oh, by using the bomb, that would purify Islam?
Just
Yeah,
go back.
they're saying nonsense that people do not understand. And he's talking about that these are religious fanatics in Iran. Sure, there are, fundamentalist, religious clergy that are in power in Iran. That's not any different than the fundamentalist crazies in Israel. So in one hand, you're saying Iran cannot be a theocracy, cannot be this, but Israel can do all of that. It's just the double standard that's there.
And the
How
president,
about just, yeah?
the image of the president with all these religious people around him praying.
Oh, in the White House.
Yes, I have no objection to that, but why do you punish other societies when they do the same?
Well, it's kind of a weird thing when I saw that picture, because we have our form of prayer, but when I saw the picture of Trump sitting at the desk in the Oval Office, and all these pastors and ministers that are holding hands and are all touching him, and they're touching him and doing this. One of them is leading the prayer. This idea of that, you're touching. It's also kind of scary because it sends a wrong message to the rest of the world that all the Christians are behind Trump in this. That that somehow this imagery of this is a holy war, and guess what? Peace Hexas thinks it's a holy war, and there was this leaked memos and leaked information coming out of the military, the U.S. military, that so many commanders are telling their soldiers that this is a holy war, that this is that Trump is handpicked by God or picked by God to instigate or start the beginning wars of the Armageddon, end of times type theology. And this is happening in a secular country. The United States has separation between church and state. And for these commanders to say, you're going on some sort of crusade against people in Iran, and that this is a holy war, and then you have images out of the White House of all these prayers, and the prayer leadership, the Christian leadership is all behind Trump, is sending the wrong signals to the rest of the world. But I'm going to play just one more minute of Lindsey Graham just to see how absurd it is, and then get your reaction.
They could have had a nuclear capability within months, weeks, not months. And if they had a weapon, they would use it. To all those who don't believe that, you're stupid. You're a fool. And I hate to be so harsh. People got Hitler wrong. Donald Trump is the right man at the right time. To our allies, if you can't join this fight, what fight are you going to join? To Spain. You won't let us use your our air bases in your country to stop a homicidal regime from getting nuclear weapons that terrorize the world. I am encouraging President Donald J. Trump tonight to move all of our bases out of Spain. We have an Article 5 commitment to Spain under NATO, but we shouldn't have air bases in a country that will not let us use those planes to protect the world against a religious Nazi regime. As to Lebanon, there is a military leader in charge of the Lebanese army that I don't trust as far as I can throw him. He is willfully ignoring Hezbollah. He's not disarming Hezbollah. There were rockets fired from areas that were supposed to be cleared by the Lebanese army. Let's get somebody in charge of the Lebanese military that will use it. Finally, to my friends in Saudi Arabia, I've been your biggest champion. I think the Crown Prince has taken Saudi Arabia in a completely different direction in a good way. But here's what I want to say to Saudi Arabia tonight. I'm willing to do a mutual defense agreement with your country to give you protection in perpetuity. Under the agreement I've been pushing, and I hope we can continue to talk about, if you're attacked by Iran, we would go to war for you. To Saudi Arabia, our embassy was hid in Riyadh. Do you not have an obligation to join the fight with us? You've yet to do that. So if you do not believe the American embassy being attacked in Riyadh would trigger mutual self-defense, maybe we shouldn't do a treaty with you. To our friends in the United Arab Emirates, you joined the Abraham Accords when nobody else would. You've been a great partner, but you said today publicly at the UN, your country would not be used to join the fight against the Ayatollah's regime. This is so disappointing. We need partners that will step forward in a fight that we can't afford to lose. The Arab countries are as much at threat as we are. And I've been saying this for 20 years. Finally, we got a commander-in-chief that's clear-eyed. He tried diplomacy. He tried to give them what they say they want, peaceful nuclear power, and they told us to go to hell.
When did they ever try that? And the thing is, why if America is the most powerful military in the world, and Pete Hegseth said that Israel has the second most powerful Air Force, with America number one Air Force in the world. Why do they need the help of Saudi Arabia, UAE, and allies in the region to fight against Iran? If you have everything under control, why are you going on television begging them to join the fight and make this into a bigger regional war? And you hear all these talking points and reasons. It's all really, Iran was not posing an imminent threat to the United States. And for him to go and to push and cheerlead for this, it's definitely sounds like he's just cheerleading for Israel's agenda.
But why is he so dedicated to Israel? I mean, he doesn't talk about his constituents or the country or the high prices or the oil prices. I mean, he sounds like a fanatic. I don't understand that. But also, Ahmed, there is a breaking news coming from the Associated Press. It's not related to Iran, but related to the Israeli military that he is so keen on helping. They dropped the charges against 5 soldiers who were accused of sexually abusing a Palestinian detainee, which the Associated Press actually had footage of this raping of this prisoner during the Gaza war, and was shown actually on Twitter and X, but they have acquitted them. Amazing. I mean, there is no respect for international law. I think after Gaza, we can see what is happening and why the U.S. can easily bomb school girls, because they did it in Gaza and nobody objected and nobody said anything. And this international law obviously was made for brown people. It wasn't made to put white people on trial or hold them accountable. So I think we are living in a very, very dangerous time. What didn't you say that Korea, the premier of Korea, North Korea, just said something? You were
and the premier of North Korea has been all over the news. They're reporting about him that he's supporting the new supreme leader in Iran. He thinks it's a good choice. He's behind him. He supports that. So that should be interesting. Where is that? And he may be looking to also get into the fight. I don't know. What does this mean for us? I think a lot of people are not paying attention in America and here, in Florida about what's happening with Iran. Not enough people that this thing could spin out of control. It could really hurt our economy, and it already is. And the economy is already very fragile. And if gas prices, go up to $5, $6, $7, that will have a huge impact. People cannot afford to go to their work. People can't manufacture things. It becomes like a domino effect of what happens to the economy. Now they're talking about, tapping into these strategic reserves. But this was a war by choice. This is all being done by Donald Trump. He thought he can just go in and get out like in Venezuela. That's not the same thing. And Iran is saying they're not going to stop. They'll end it when they want to end it, on their own terms, not when Trump wants. And
yes, I heard that there was a communication between the White House and Iran that let's sit and finish this and find a way to end it. And Iran said no. I don't know how accurate this is, Ahmed.
Well, there was a couple of different, press briefings where they're, very defiant and saying they're not going to end. And they said, we told you that the price of oil is going to go up to $200 a barrel, et cetera, et cetera. They're trolling Trump. They tweeted something saying that Trump raped, little girls on their ex account. and they're saying that this is the Epstein class. So they're definitely talking about that. But we're out of time. This is WMNF Tampa, and it's been True Talk. Next week will be the last day, I think, of Ramadan, possibly Eid. Have a great weekend, everyone. Ramadan Kareem, and see you at the same time, same place next